The Somatic Narcissist goes to the airport. Hello, I'm HG Tudor. Those of you who are familiar with my work understand that I classify narcissists into schools and canterers to help you better understand their behaviours, conduct, outlook and preferences. With the canterers, there are 4: victim, cerebral, elite and somatic. You can find more information about those canterers in my book, Sitting Target, in the HG Mauls, M-A-U-L-S, Mauls series available in the Knowledge Vault, and through various videos scattered throughout my extensive bodies of work. The somatic canterer is the most common one. The somatic narcissist is one that is governed by appearances and material matters. Not every somatic indicator will apply to every somatic narcissist, and their somaticism is also shaped by their subschool. In this series, I'm going to be providing you with further insight into the behaviour of the somatic narcissist, whilst also giving you some entertaining education. This is in relation to the somatic narcissist with various stages of going on holiday, and I thought we would examine the somatic narcissist as he attends at the airport before he is due to go on holiday. Now, in order to do so, we need to select one of the subschools to pair with the somatic canterer, and for the purposes of this video, I have decided to select the upper lesser type A. By way of a quick reminder, the upper lesser type A is the affable arsehole, a superficial individual who is not necessarily nasty, but rather so utterly self-absorbed that you are but a speck of dust in orbit around their brilliant star. The upper lesser A narcissist usually has some measure of success, though not always, and may be well known, at least locally, and could have some measure of wealth. They have some degree of power and influence. In some instances, he has acquired the trappings of success, but in other cases, he would be very much of the fake-it-till-you-make-it brigade. Here comes our upper lesser type A narcissist somatic now. He's driving and arriving at the airport. Let's call him Gary, who also likes to be known as Gaz, Gazza or Gazmeister. Mind you, he's the one that selected those nicknames, telling people that those are the names he can be known by. He's driving a white Range Rover Evoque, which makes him think that he's in Dubai rather than a suburb of Manchester. And driving such a vehicle might ordinarily denote him as perhaps running a successful hair salon, but Gary actually holds a position as a real estate agent. This role is ideal for him. Brimming with misplaced confidence and overflowing with the whole cheeky chappy persona, he launches the amphetamine-driven Labrador within him that enables him to pursue vendors and buyers, so they inevitably agree just in order to stop him engaging in the human equivalent of excessive dog licking. Furthermore, his role as an estate agent gives him access to a portfolio of unoccupied properties, which proves most convenient for when Gary needs a particular bolt hole to conduct some of his more intimate interactions. He has a decent disposable income as a consequence of his suspect selling earning him decent commissions and the fact that he has no dependent children. Can't stand the rug rats, opines Gary. They spoil me white sofas with their sticky handprints. I always tell my sister not to bring them to mine. He lives in a 3-bedroom new build on a soulless estate that he managed to get for a knockdown price when he naturally knew about it coming onto the market before anybody else. In terms of his home, you just need to imagine that everything inside, apart from the sofas, is in various shades of grey. There is a love, live, laugh either stenciled on the wall or made from wood and painted various shades of grey, or quite possibly both. He has a hot tub in the back garden, which has artificial grass and mood lighting. If you'd picture a League One footballer's first house once he signs a decent contract, you wouldn't be too far wrong as to how Gary's house looks. Gary has as much depth as a layer of paint, Not that this has ever held him back, since he has zero self-awareness. He has selected to drop his car at Terminal 2 at the large regional airport he's flying from, as he is concerned that leaving it in the multi-storey might mean the paintwork gets scratched, and that really upsets him. Accordingly, he is pulled into lane 3 at the meet and greet and driven up to where the meet and greet member of staff is waving him to a halt. He gives an enthusiastic thumbs up to the member of staff, switches off the engine, and then turns to grin at his passenger. "Time for our hollybobs, babes," to the young woman, he announces, who sat in the passenger seat. The young lady is Rebecca, or rather Becks, as he prefers to call her. He opens the car door and hops out, as he's only 5'6" in height. Not that this ever slows him down. His mouth always adds a few inches, as I'm sure you'll understand. "Hey up," he announces to the member of staff and throws his keys up in the air for him to catch. "Don't scratch her, he instructs. The member of staff begins to protest, trying to explain that Gary has to take the keys into the terminal and had them then to go to the meet and greet reception. But Gary isn't listening. He's strutting around to the back of the Evoque with a big grin on his face. Gary is dressed in a tight-fitting white t-shirt that shows off his gym-honed body, a pair of tight shorts and expensive trainers, no socks. All of his clothing is branded because, as Gary explains, labels tell the world who I am. It's not cold, but not especially warm at the airport, but Gary doesn't care. It's only weather, as he likes to frequently remark, and more importantly, it allows him to show off his pre-holiday tan. After all, nobody goes on holiday looking pale and white if they've any sense. In fact, one might wonder why Gary's going on holiday at all, as he is already extensively tanning salon brown, which means that his turkey teeth, only $5,000 for a new set, fucking brilliant. Hospital was like an hotel, and grub was awesome. Take on an even more unsettling glow set against his browned face. He reaches the rear of the vehicle as the trailing staff member continued to explain the correct process. "You carrying them in for us, then?" he asks, jabbing a Krugerrang-adorned finger at the several cases in the boot of the Evoque. The staff member hesitates, unsure if he is serious or not. "I'm here to guide the cars in. You need your key back." The staff member hands it to Gary. "What for?" he asks, as he's not listened to a word the staff member has been saying about the correct procedure, but Becks has. "We need to drop the keys in at reception, Gary. Get the cases, please, love," she remarks. Gary groans and then says to the staff member, "I'll give you $5 if you carry the cases in for us." "Can't do that. I have to stay here," responds the staff member with a forced smile. "Shame. That was generous of me," remarks Gary, and he's entirely sincere with his remark. He then unloads 4 cases of varying sizes, containing the holiday couture of Gary and Becks. The cases are Louis Vuitton, yet they are snide counterfeits that he bought from someone Gary knows through work, but he hasn't told Becks this. There's a lot he hasn't told Becks, but that's not for now. Becks is shorter than Gary, similarly tanned, long blonde hair which is tied up. She is attractive, with a youthful figure, which is maintained by light exercise and sensible eating. She is heavily made up, which is actually unnecessary, as she is naturally pretty, and she's dressed in labelled athletic leisure clothing. There is a kindness in her eyes and a warmth in her smile, which is entirely wasted on Gary. So far, she's been taken in by his incessant chatter, good looks, boyish enthusiasm, and seemingly impressive financial standing, although she is unaware that Visa and MasterCard currently have hitmen after Gary owing to his credit card abuses. "Right then, Benners, here we come," announces Gary as he leans in to kiss Becks in front of a bemused staff member. It is Benidorm this time, as he has a mate who has an apartment there overlooking the sea, so what they save on accommodation costs they can spend in the shops, restaurants and bars. Gary prefers that because that's where he can be seen. They did Marbella last time, although he found it a bit pricey, and of course Ibiza is a yearly fixture. But this time it is Benidorm. With the Evoque locked and the staff member left behind, Gary sets off trailing 2 of the cases either side of him, looking for the signs for the meet and greet reception. He sets off at pace, leaving Becks behind. As he crosses the access road, he heads to the doors and then stops as if he's suddenly remembered something. He halts and stares at his reflection in the glass of the sliding doors, and then pats his hair as if he's seen some sort of transgressing hair. "Gorgeous," he remarks, and blows a kiss towards his reflection. He then turns as Becks catches up with him, struggling to navigate the cases across the raised section at the end of the crossing, but he offers no help. "Hurry up, babes. I've booked us into one of the 2 lounges, you know," he announces. "Ooh, lovely," remarks Becks as she walks past him towards the doors. He slaps her firmly on the backside as she draws level with him. "Will you give over?" She chastises him with genuine irritation in her eyes. "You love it," he responds, and then grabs the 2 cases and heads off into the terminal. Becks shakes her head and dutifully follows Gary. Inside, Gary is scanning the electronic information board to find their destination and check-in desk. B20 through to B26, so over there, he declares, pointing towards the B section. "Car, Gary," reminds Becks. "Oh, yeah, where's that then?" "Just here." "Wait here then," he instructs as he strides over to the meet and greet reception. As he does, he sees 3 reasonably attractive women walking along, and he looks them up and down. His behaviour is obvious, and they laugh in response, which causes him to wink at them and then saunter to the reception desk. With the Evoque, or Pearl, as Gary likes to affectionately call his car, checked in with the meet and greet people, he turns back to see that Becks has disappeared. "Where the fuck has she gone now?" he mutters, and starts walking along, head swivelling from side to side, scanning the airport, arms swinging, chest puffed out in a gait he uses most times he is walking, although he never realises he does this in an attempt to look bigger than he is. "Gary, over here!" calls Becks, waving at him from her position in the queue for the check-in desk. She has managed to move the 4 cases across and to secure a position in the queue. He notices her and waves in recognition before making his way to her. "Thought I may as well get in the queue," she explains. He nods as he looks around at the other people in the queue, assessing who else will be on their flight. "Did you not book priority tickets?" he asks. "You did the booking, not me," corrects Becks. "You sure?" asks Gary, looking puzzled. "Here, let's go there. That one's empty and it's for priority. Come on, they'll let us through." Gary ducks under a divider pulling his cases, ignoring the protests of Becks, and marches up to a check-in attendant. "How do?" he says to the lady and flashes her a bright white smile. She smiles more out of politeness than genuine warmth as she asks for the passports. Gary clicks his fingers at Becks and jabs a finger towards the attendant as Becks unzips her handbag and pulls out the 2 passports. Gary's is the old-style navy blue, or Brexit blue, as he loves telling anybody who'll listen. The attendant takes the first passport and swipes it. She looks at the screen and then remarks, "Sorry, sir, this is priority check-in, which you do not have." Without missing a beat, Gary answers, "You sure? We booked priority." "Yes, sir. You do not have priority check-in." "Nah, I definitely booked priority. You people have messed up. So we're here now, so just check us in, eh?" "I cannot do that, sir." "Of course you can. All goes to the same place, doesn't it?" he says with a winning smile. "This is for priority passengers only. Would you step aside, please? There are passengers waiting." By this time, genuine passengers for the priority check-in have arrived. The attendant hands the passports back. "Oh, well," remarks Gary with a wide grin, "worth a try." Undeterred, he simply steps to the next check-in desk, cutting into the queue and presents the passports, having effectively jumped the queue of those waiting. "Excuse me," declares a woman at the head of the queue. Gary turns and smiles. He points to Becks and makes a rounding gesture of his stomach to suggest that either Becks is fat or pregnant. With the large white puffer jacket Becks is wearing, it's hard to make out what size her stomach might be. "Oh," responds the woman at the head of the queue. "No, please, go ahead." "Thanks, love. Need to get her to a seat soon as. Much appreciated," says Gary, again flashing that toothy smile. The attendant seems unbothered by the cutting in and checks in the 4 cases of Gary and Becks as he attempts to engage in idle banter with the female attendant. She returns the passports to him with their boarding passes, and Gary gives her a big grin as he departs. "That took long enough," he declares under his breath. "Come on, through security and onto the lounge. Need to hurry it up. Free booze in there, you know." "Well, don't get pissed, Gary, or they won't let you on the plane," chides Becks. "I've only got 2 hours drinking time in there, so I'm hardly going to be rat-arsed, am I?" he responds as he makes his way to security. The queue is short, and Gary is soon placing his Rolex watch, knock-off, iPhone, wallet, man-bag, and his sunglasses into the tray. He waits his turn to pass through the detector, and there is no beep. "Shame. Thought you might do a body search," he laughs, remarking to the female security officer, who pretends she has not heard him. Gary walks off to collect his goods, unaware that Becks has been randomly selected for further screening. He collects his possessions and then saunters away, looking out of the window at the planes and then admiring himself as he's reflected in some more glass before ascending an escalator to the duty-free selection. He wanders across to the gents' fragrances beneath the various neon lighting and music that's playing. He starts to size up what is on offer, intermittently looking to one side to weigh up what's on offer with the various women that are walking through the duty-free zone. He settles on a bottle of dupe. He likes that, as it reminds him of his early days chasing the ladies. No splash, no gash, he says to himself, and then, no cologne, home alone. What do you think of this one, then? He turns to ask Becks as he picks up a bottle of Jean-Paul Gaultier, only to find that she's not there. Oh, where is she? He asks nobody in particular. He then pulls out his iPhone, which he holds flat in front of his mouth as if he's on The Apprentice, and jabs a number. The screen lights up, showing a picture of Becks draped across the bonnet of the Range Rover Evoque as he calls her. She answers, "Gary, where did you go?" "Nowhere. Where did you go? I'm in duty-free looking at the aftershaves. What are you doing?" "Buying chocolate. You'll get fat, you know." "No, I was stopped by security. I'm coming round now. I'll see you in a minute." Becks catches Gary up, and with a new bottle of dupe purchased, the pair head off to drink their fill in one of the airport lounges that Gary has booked them in as a treat. There, he will regale those unfortunate to be seated either side of him with his various observations about football and property prices, as Becks takes a keen interest in her phone, knowing that it is best to give him a stage to perform on. Thus, as Gary sinks his 6th bottle of Peroni in the airport lounge, the Somatic Narcissist tells the world all he thinks it needs to know as his holiday awaits. I'm HG Tudor. Thank you for listening.